Hey party people, Techno here again with another lock, and this time around we have a pretty sizable and hefty entry in the form of this Brinks round body padlock. This has a hardened steel lock body as well as a boron steel shackle, which is secured by dual ball bearing locking mechanisms. If we look down the shackle hole here, there is a Phillips head screw that secures the retaining plate to the bottom of the lock, which of course keeps that core nice and secure inside the lock body. The core in question has an American style keyway and is a 6-pin lock, and we can see here from the key itself that it has some pretty nice bitting as well. Speaking of the key, this is something else that's reminiscent of that American lock company manufacture in that the key bow here has that signature form, although the corners at the bottom are rounded off a bit more. The only other notable aspect of this lock is the Series 527 engraved in the back of the lock body. And a number of videos ago, we looked at this lock here. This is the Ace round body padlock. This also, I believe, is manufactured by American Lock for Ace. In this case, we see the unadulterated signature keybow here with the Ace branding rather than American Lock. And also on the back, this is engraved Series A527. So I think that 527 is probably not much of a coincidence. The A probably prepended here for the Ace branding or something of that nature. And apart from the superficial finishing differences between these locks, they're pretty much identical, which is to say they are a carbon copy of the American Lock round body padlocks. Now, of course, we see different shackle sizes on these. This one does have a hardened steel shackle versus a boron steel shackle. That could be attributable to the age of the lock. This has been in my collection longer than this one, so it could just be an updated version. It could also be something that Brinks specified that Ace did not. The other difference here being that while the Ace version does have 6 pin chambers in the core, only 5 were populated, whereas I already mentioned that the Brinks does have all 6 pin chambers populated. And we'll see how that affects the pick resistance of this particular lock right about now. So to pick this open, I'm going to use a top of the keyway tensioner in 50 thousandths. This is the tensioner from the Covert Companion expansion set. And I'm sure to nobody's surprise, I will be using my Sparrow's Tron pick in 25 thousandths. We'll just go right to the back of the lock and start on pin 6, which is binding. Little click out of 6, now on to 5. Subtle click out of 5 as well, on to 4. Nothing on 4 at the moment, on to 3. Just a tiny little click out of 3, on to 2. A couple little clicks out of 2. 1, nothing on 1. Back to 2, and we got another click there. Feels like it is still binding, actually. And there, we got another click out of 2, and we have gone into a false set. So now back to 3. Nothing on 3. Going to 4. We have counter rotation on 4. And a very deep false set now. Going back to 5. Nothing on 5. 6, counter rotation on 6. And we have an open. So very much in all ways an American lock. Had a mix of spools and a mix of serrated pins in there. And, you know, aside from the size and weight of holding this thing, pretty much in line with what you can expect out of most American locks. That being the American Lock brand, of course, not American locks as in country of origin. So let's go ahead and gut this and see for ourselves what is actually inside. Starting with getting this screw out of there so that we can drop the core out of the lock body. All right, there's our killer. And one thing that fell out with that is one of these metal shims that serve to help alleviate the vulnerability in the American lock design that would allow a bypass tool to reach straight through the core and directly act on the actuator in the body of the lock there. So this is designed to prevent that from happening. And sometimes you might see multiples of these stacked within the lock. This one features only one. Just set that down here. Let's get our follower and everything ready. Starting with the removal of this C-clip here on the back of the lock. Okay, now we have the key. This should be pretty straightforward, although my follower is a bit undersized, so I will use a shim to prevent any pins, hopefully, from working their way out of there, and to bridge that gap between the tailpiece and the rest of the lock core. All right, we'll see how this goes. And that worked out pretty well. All right, so here again, we can see all 6 of those pin chambers in the core are populated. So let's go ahead and see what our key pins are, starting at pin 6. We have a serrated. Number 5 is a very tiny serrated. 4 is another serrated. 3 serrated. 2 is a serrated, and number 1 is also serrated. So pretty cool that we have serrated pins in all of the key pins. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top stack here. So for our drivers, we have in chamber 1 a serrated spool. Number 2 is a serrated. 3 is a serrated spool. 4 is a serrated spool. 5 is another serrated spool. And finally 6 is a serrated spool. Quite a few spools in that, all serrated though, so that's really nice to see. But again, pretty typical for an American lock. All serrated pins down here in the key pins, and all serrated and many spools up here in the driver pin stack. So I'd say that makes the Brinks a fairly solid lock option. And the other cool thing about this is that these, at least at the time that I purchased this, was surprisingly affordable. So you're getting, I think, a lot of lock for your dollars there. That being said, I hope this was interesting. So I thank everybody very much for watching and do truly appreciate it. And until next time, until we get another lock, I will catch you later. Take care.